Hi, my name is Perry's Hotter, your friendly neighborhood mangaka in the making a manga review for you today. Today I will be reviewing My Hero Academia Vigilantes, a spin-off series of My Hero Academia. And for the most part, I'll be going over the first chapter and touching maybe a little bit or more of the rest of the book or the series overall. This will contain spoilers, so watch at your own risk. The purpose of these videos, this is the first of many I hope to do, is a series. Basically, I'll be covering a series if you're thinking about reading or maybe didn't know about or didn't intend on reading, then hearing spoilers might just be the thing to make you decide whether you want to read it or not. If you've already read it, then just sit back, relax, enjoy my commentary / analysis on what I think of the book. And maybe if you just don't want any spoilers, if you never heard of it and you never thought about reading it, but you don't want spoilers, then just go read it for yourself, find out. But until then, I'm going to get right into it. So the main character is called Koichi. This is him alongside this character, Knuckle Duster, who is essentially My Hero Academia's answer to Batman. It is a totally different artist and writer. I believe it's, art is Betancourt, and the writer is Hideyuki Furuhashi. I probably butchered that, but it's okay. Anyway, it has this little introduction about heroes and what they are. And then it talks about heroes, basically essentially vigilantes in this bottom panel. And I also think this serves as a good kind of introduction. If you hadn't ever read My Hero Academia, but you picked up My Hero Vigilantes, I think you could pick this up without ever having read the manga or seen the anime of My Hero Academia and get into this. And so I think that's what the purpose of this is. And so it starts the flash forward that isn't really answered this chapter. But I won't really talk about it because I don't think it's that important. And here, basically, as you're following Koichi, he's kind of like Deku in that he is a fanboy of All Might, the #1 hero in Hero Society. He is a fanboy, but unlike Deku, he doesn't aspire to not exactly be a hero. He's not enrolled or aiming to be enrolled in any kind of hero course. In fact, I think he's a little older than Deku, because later chapters, I think he's going to college. I'm not sure. But anyway, he's a big fan. And his quirk is a seemingly kind of lame quirk, with as long as he has 3 points of contact on the ground, so his hands and 1 foot at least, he can slide across the ground. Or right now it might be 4 points, but I don't remember. That may change later. So a seemingly useless quirk that can't go faster than a 1-speed bike. Here he runs into some bullies that he's going to run into again later. Then we're introduced to the freelance idol, self-styled pop step. Koichi does her a solid and let her know that the police are coming so that they're able to go away. And it's also explained how, just like in My Hero, people technically that aren't heroes aren't supposed to use their quirks like at all. But people do use them here and there, and generally other people, police, just turn a blind eye to it. Not all the time. And so those bullies run into him again when they happen to walk in the store that he works at, and they're threatening him. And then after they beat him up, he puts on an All Might hoodie and a disguise, and it turns out he's been going around doing good deeds like picking up trash, giving people their wallets or cell phones they happen to drop. In this panel, he gives directions to Lost, and he's giving directions to Midoriya's mom, Inko. And so it's kind of reminiscent of when Deku had to clean the beach in order to, as part of the requirements for All Might and his training. I got a guest right here. My cat's walking by. And people call him Nice Guy. Or some people call him the cockroach. Because he just slides on across the ground. Anyway, he likes doing good deeds. It makes him feel good. And then Pop Step comes to thank him. And they kind of don't exactly get along. But those same bullies, they run into Pop Step and they start threatening her. And we get kind of the first defining moment of Koichi here, where he actually, up until this point, he's been very non-confrontational. He avoids violence, doesn't like it, but here he's forced to do something, and of course it fails miserably, but someone sees him, and that is when Knuckle Duster comes into play. And like I said before, Knuckle Duster is the My Hero's World answer to Batman, and he has no quirk. He's just a big guy. And I've always wondered, I'm really glad they did a character like him, because I've always wondered what it would be like if there's a hero with no quirks, but only had support items, if he could make it big or something. Well, he doesn't exactly have what I would call support items, but he has these things on his fists. I forget what they're called, for punching, and it's later revealed he even has kind of a grappling hook that he manually throws and things of that nature. And he tries to fall onto piles of trash bags when falling from buildings or tall heights, kind of like Assassin's Creed, but to cushion his fall, not to hide or anything, because he's just a regular guy with no quirks, but he can pack a punch, as you can see right here. And he has his own agenda. He's looking for people that use a certain type of drug, which plays into like a larger plot. And he sees Koichi here, and he knows about his nice guy deeds, and he extends the offer, to work with him. And of course, he refuses. He doesn't take up on it this chapter. But as we know, because of the flash forward, that's not going to change. That is going to change. Oh yeah, and there's also a kind of another defining moment where he does take action. The final bully is threatening to basically injure or possibly kill Pop Step, but Koichi tackles him, and it gives Knuckle Duster the chance to punch his lights out. It's great. He helped take him down. And that's when Knuckle Duster actually extends the offer, and of course he politely refuses. And then at the hook of the end of the first chapter, some guy with drugs, probably the ones Knuckle Duster's looking for, offers to these bullies that just got the tar beat out of them. And that's the end of the first chapter. I really like Koichi as a character. He's very likable. There's a lot of parallels between him and Deku, and it's probably intentional. The only thing that his quirk, he learns how to use it and hone it and improve it, and it gets some cool upgrades. Just like in the series, when they say the more you exercise a quirk, the more the better it gets. The only thing is, for most of the series, I'm like 8 volumes in, and Koichi, for the most part, doesn't really fight or take down villains himself. He's more of offers support, and I really want him to be able to get to a point where he can fight one-on-one against a villain on his own and take them down. And I'm hoping the series will build up to that. I will be really disappointed if it never gets to that point and he just stays as a support hero. And even though they're vigilantes, they're acting as heroes without official hero licenses. That would also be cool if at one point it actually led to him becoming an official hero. I wouldn't be against that either. That would be very cool. And another cool thing about this is the vigilantes. Just like how people kind of turned a blind eye to people using their quirks casually, the pro heroes actually kind of turned a blind eye to the vigilantes because they actually helped them. The idea is that when those bullies were threatening Pop in that alley, be like, All Might's not going to show up. He doesn't have time to show up for just a scuffle like this, or All Might can't be everywhere. That's true. Pro heroes can't be bothered with every little thing, or they're not always available for a purse snatching. But that's where vigilantes come in. They kind of help come and fill the gap for these lesser crimes, but still they help. They help, and the pro heroes are actually appreciative of this. Another reason why I don't normally like spin-offs is they feel like spin-offs. Of course, they're not going to do anything that messes with the main continuity of the series, and this doesn't either. It doesn't do anything major. But one thing I am surprised and took it back from is how many cameos from My Hero characters are, and even characters such as Aizawa and Midnight actually interact regularly with these main characters and play a pivotal role. They almost have more screen time in this manga than they do in the main series. And it's crazy. And as of like the 7th and I think 8 volumes, we get some major backstory on Aizawa. And I think if you like My Hero Academia, I highly recommend this. I think it adds on and fleshes out the world even more. And I'd also be stoked if this series ends up crossing over more than it already has with My Hero in a big way. My Hero has crossed over with Vigilantes, but if Vigilantes crossed over with My Hero, that would be amazing. And I would also recommend, just in case that happens, so when it happens, like, you know, you won't be left out of the fun. The other thing, like, as much as I like Knuckle Duster, and like I said, he's kind of like this world's Batman, he's not very famous or well known. Their little group they got going on, because Pop Step joined too, is they're just kind of famous in their local area, and they don't so far haven't become much more famous than that. Other than that, they caught the eyes of some pro heroes like Aizawa and Midnight, and they even work with them to an extent, as you'll see. It's you know, it's a great series overall. It's not just like, it's not really about the battles, even though there are battles and fighting, and it's technically a battle manga. It's more about Koichi helping. There's a lot more, I guess, kind of story involved than just it existing for the battles. Usually the story exists so there can be fights in battle manga, but here it feels more like the battles serve the story. And so but we do get one awesome particular fight with Knuckle Duster. He goes against a very powerful quirk user and how he handles that, and it really hammers home how he's more like Batman. Kind of like the idea with enough prep time, Batman could take on anyone. Well, this guy, he did his research and he knew this quirk inside and out. And it was really cool seeing how he fought this guy. But I won't spoil that. And basically, that's the review. If you enjoyed my review, leave me a comment of why and what other series you would like me to review. And if you want to see future reviews, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell as well, so you will be notified when I upload the next review every Tuesday. I also have my own manga, Cold-Blooded, about Rembrandt Snart, who misses his father, and while holding out hope after his father's disappearance 5 years ago, he discovers the latent reptilian abilities brought out by a shadowy figure determined to end his life. Cold-Blooded is available to read on Webtoon, Tapastic, and some other sites as well. Links are in the description for them all. And if you like what you read and you can't wait to read more, for $3 per paid post on my Patreon, you can read a chapter ahead every time a free chapter comes out on Webtoon, Tapastic, etc. So, if you ain't read My Hero Vigilantes yet, then what are you waiting for? Go read it right now.